We printed more, I think we printed more money since the last time I was with you than they printed in the last 100 years.
That's crazy.
Since I saw you last.
That's nuts.
So everybody should have got a pay raise. Mm-hmm. And I know people are scared of the bubble right now. They're like, oh my God, man, things have to, real estate's too much and stocks are too much. None of this stuff has gone up equal to the amount of money printed. So if the print is this high, if the print is that high and inflation that we're hearing about all the time is this high, you'd have to assume it would have at least this far to go. But that's only because people don't understand. When you print this much money, you need to multiply times 9. Because when money's printed, when you take your money to the bank, when I take the money that you're going to give me for this great interview today, and I take it to the bank, I put it, as soon as it goes into the bank gets notified, and the bank now has the ability to loan that money out 9 times.
9 times?
9 times. So they don't keep money. Okay, so if you put $1 million with the bank today, they're going to go make $9 million worth of loans tomorrow.
How do they make that? How do they do it?
Well, that's
9
what
times?
They're allowed to do by their regulations.
They can take $1 million that you give them.
That's why they want deposits so much.
And then they can go give $9 million in loans on that $1 million.
That's right.
Within a year, 2 years,
within microseconds.
In one day, they can loan out $9 million.
This is what people don't understand. And this is what our parents didn't understand. Okay, so Bob or Betty goes out and they work and they do really well and they make $200,000 a year. Maybe they're online doing online sales. Hustle, sell, trading their most valuable thing. This is what I did for 25 years, from 25 to 51 years old. Spent my most valuable asset, time, to get money, terrified every second of every day. That's really what's driven me the whole time, was terror. Like, when you don't know, you're going to be scared.
Yeah.
So I'm going out to get money. I won't spend any of it because I'm terrified if I don't know how to get more. I'm worried I can't keep getting more. So then I'd get the money and then I'd rush off and spend my most valuable asset, time, again, to bring it to the bank.
Yeah. And then they go multiply it.
They're telling me to save it and they don't. And so when I quit listening to everybody that's got an opinion about money online, or my neighbors or my uncles, and I started saying, what are they doing? When I quit studying the influencers and started studying the banks, Goldman, JP Morgan, KKR, there's just an endless list of these guys. You start studying those guys. Study Elon. Elon doesn't keep any cash. He thinks the whole thing's a joke, which he's probably right. So what does he do? He reinvests everything. He's not paying debt off. He's accumulating debt. But Apple has debt, Google has debt, Facebook has debt, and they have cash reserves that are the biggest cash reserves on planet Earth. They could pay cash for everything, but they don't.
Why do they get debt when they have all the cash?
Exactly.
Why do they do that?
Because if I take, man, you got a little whiteboard right here, man. God dang. Okay, so if I take, Apple just did this. Okay, I want to make a $90 billion purchase. I want to make and they're like, yeah, we got the cash for that. In fact, we have cash plus another 50%.
Yeah.
We got plenty of cash to do this. Okay, and then one of their people says, okay, bro, you do that? That is not a tax deductible event. What we should do is we should go keep this and go borrow $90 billion.
Really?
At like 0.005%. Like, they're going to pay 0.5% for this debt. Maybe they pay 1%. Who cares? Right. They're like, I don't care. It's a tax deduction anyway.
Interesting.
So now they have the best of both worlds. They have their cash and they have debt. Now, when I was growing up, this debt would cost 10, 12, 15, 18%.
But it's so cheap now.
This debt, because we print money. Money is not scarce, like our parents told us. Like, when I was growing up, I bet you I heard at least from my mother, from the age of 10 to 15, if I didn't hear this 500 or 1,000 times, I never heard it once. We don't own the electric company. Turn those lights out, boy. I still have that going on today. My dad, my mom told me my dad would, because he worked so hard, dude. He was so like, oh, I finally got it. I finally made it. Now I got to protect it. He got stuck in the second piece, keeping it. It's an emotional keep. And so it's not a rational thing because you're hoarding now, Still today, man, it's tough for me to buy blue jeans if they're not on sale. And I'm like, this is stupid, man. Like, why? I'm just going to wait.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? But it's really stupid that I even worry about it.
Right.
And I'm not saying on the come up, I think you should worry about it.
Right.
But there needs to be where you can turn that switch off.
If you could give, you said there's a lot of misinformation and people just aren't educated on money in general when they're growing up, or there's just a lot of information out there.
I think they're miseducated is more, it's not a financial illiteracy, it's almost like we've been hypnotized with the wrong set of rules.
So if you could only share 3 pieces of information to your kids or the younger generation, or anyone stuck on hoarding and keeping money, what would you say would be those 3 things that you would share to change the philosophy and mindset around the fear of money?
Well, I think number one is there's a bigger problem with hoarding in this country than there is with spenders. But what we hear is all the spenders
who are getting into debt.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, he did this and he's overspending. But really you have more of a hoarding issue than you have a spender issue. It's number one. I think people err more on saving and not knowing how to use money than they do on buying Richards and Lambos, even though you see all that around LA. And I know these people I walk into Vegas and I sit down at a table in Vegas and I know the 3 guys playing, they're playing 10 times more than I am. They're playing $2,000 a hand, I'm playing $25. I'm like, I know I'm in a better position to play what they're playing for, but I can't do it. So what the advice I would give people is like, I would just assume that everything you know about money is incorrect.
Everything.
Every single thing you know
just
about
assume
money.
it so you can get back to where?
So that you can actually have a clean board to operate from. Because if you go out right now and try to stack new information, financial literacy on top of a toxic foundation, it's all going to get all. That's why when I tell people don't go buy a house, everybody freaks out. They're like, that can't be right. That can't be right. Why? Because that's what you've been told to buy a house your whole life. Because the banks want you to buy a house. Now everybody just heard that's going to say, I just saw you buy a house in Malibu.
Right.
I can do anything I want now.
Right.
Here comes the arrogance. But I'm in a position now, like if I want to buy that house in Malibu, I can. But on the come up, buying a house is not what you should do. You should, 1, I would scrape off that you don't know anything. 2, I would invest everything you can in you. It's tax deductible. You never lose it. A person's personal appreciation will always be bigger than any other asset class.
I love that.
Okay, Bitcoin can't match it. Real estate can't match it. My personal asset appreciation will always. It is infinite. Who knows? I could be the next male Oprah,
right?
Or somebody watching could be the next Rock or whatever, right? Like that. What is that appreciation value? It's straight up.
Yeah.
So the first thing people should invest money in, even use debt on, is their personal improvement. If you told me you had to go borrow $1,000 to go to one of your classes to become great, and it had any potential at all, like even a 1% chance of putting you on the road to greatness, I'd be like, dude, go give Amex or Visa $1,000 right now. I don't even care what the rate is.
Right.
Because the infinite return, beats 18%.
Okay.
So number 1, invest in yourself. Number 2, I would invest in your business. Whatever your business is or your department, your division is, like the first 30 years of my career, I didn't own a company, but I did invest in my department. Even though I worked for a company. I had a secretary. I didn't have the company pay for my secretary. I paid for that. I wanted her to work for me. It was my mom, by the way. And so invest in yourself, invest in yourself, then invest in your business or your department, your skill set. If it's your company, then invest in your company, even down to 0. Like I wouldn't keep money around.
Okay.
I wouldn't save for a rainy day. I wouldn't have an emergency account. I did all that.
Why not?
Because you don't need it. You need what you need hustle. You need other people's money. You need to go knock on another door, make another contact. You don't need reserves of money. So what you need is cash flow.
Okay. So how do we get cash flow?
So by making investments, that's the
Yeah.
third. And other things that don't require my skill set. So that would be the third piece of advice: is start investing in real assets. That cash flow. Number two, that can appreciate. Three, that provide tax shelters. And if you look at those three criteria, Bitcoin doesn't cover it. Stocks probably don't cover it. Gambling doesn't.
Right.
That one, gold doesn't, silver doesn't. Real estate.
NFTs don't. Yeah.
NFTs don't, because they don't cash flow. That's why when you invested in NFTs and you're like, okay, they're cool, you're crossing your fingers hoping, but you don't see a check. With the real estate, I'm sending you a check every month. You're like, okay, I just got another check. I just got another check. Like, you don't have to be in mystery.